Joining us now here on In the Circle, of course, she's one of the great softball players of all time, great LSU Tiger, and now is back as a head coach at Campbell after serving time as assistant at Iowa, as well as other places. I speak of Trena Prater back with us here on In the Circle. It's been a while with the great visor, great look here. How does it feel to be back as a head coach?
No, it's wonderful to be here and to get the opportunity to lead this program, especially coming in. Sharon McDonald did a phenomenal job in the last 4 years. So to come in and take over a championship pedigree team has been exciting and definitely a blessing.
Take us through that process, because I know when we've talked in the years, you wanted to be a head coach again, but you also were not just going to jump at an opportunity. So, talk you through that process, and what was it about Campbell that said for you, this is the right job for me to get back to being a head coach?
Yeah, because previously I've always taken over programs where it was about rebuilding and trying to change the culture and get them to, the postseason. And I was successful at doing that at Buffalo. I was successful at doing that at Hampton University. And so then stepping down to go down to UCF with Renee, who had been there forever, and then lasted 11 months. I thought I was going Sunny Skies, Orlando forever. She'd been there 18 years. She's never leaving. And then to go with her up to Iowa for the last 4 years. I think as, I got promoted to associate head coach and kind of got those responsibilities. Excuse me. When being there for 5 years and learning under her, it was about what's the right fit, because I got calls in previous years for other opportunities as well. But it was Campbell to have an opportunity to take over a winning team is something that I hadn't done before. And to know Coach Sharonda being here before and to kind of get the inside scoop of everything that was going on made it more appealing, because I was a little bit more familiar coming in with whether that I'd watched them in regionals on TV. So I kind of had a feel for the team and the program. And then going through the interview process to have, a sports supervisor like Wanda Watkins, who's been a legend here in women's basketball, to kind of have her mentorship to me was appealing as well, to know that I had support from the top down.
So you mentioned obviously Sharonda, you go way back with Sharonda there. She did an incredible job at Campbell, now moved on to Michigan State. Was it a situation where you reached out to her to pick her brain? Did she reach out to you and say, hey, it'd be great if you could take over what I've built here? Take me through that deal. And I'm sure she's helped you through this process because she knows what you've inherited, obviously, with the roster.
Yeah, definitely. So it's always like I try to stay where I'm at. I stay where my feet are. I don't really look. I don't seek jobs. Anywhere I've been, it's been because somebody called. So it's more like she called, she kind of put it out there. It's like, hey, you could do this. Like it's a good fit. So she reached out, and then they reached out. The AD reached out to me, Omar at the time, to kind of talk to me about the opportunity. And then I discussed it with Renee and our sports supervisor that Campbell had reached out and I might entertain it to see. I always listen, whether I'm willing to go or not, kind of just to see, is it the right fit or is it not? And then from the very beginning, I think I had great conversations with them all, and it kind of just went from there.
How do you feel you will be a different head coach now than you were, say, at Buffalo or say at Hampton, other stops? How do you feel you're different today than you were, say, the last time?
Oh, I'm very different. I think it's taking a step back to go to that passenger seat and get a different perspective, being the assistant, being the associate head, seeing the game through a different lens and being able to develop and connect, and the importance of that. I think that's the biggest thing for me coming in here was, one, hiring the right people was huge with my staffs. I think in the past, maybe I got who I could get based on salaries that I had. This time I was kind of able to headhunt and get people and pay them a salary where they can survive and live and have a family. I think that helped me solidify Erin Arevalo, who was our pitching coach, and then Megan Hill, to be able to get her on staff as well. I love that I have a director of operations here. I'm going to have a player development coach, which both those positions are yet to be released who they are. But I'm just excited to be at a mid-major where I'm fully staffed with everything and all the resources. So that was another reason why coming to Campbell was kind of a no-brainer once I kind of pulled the curtain back and seen everything that they had to offer.
Well, it's a big time. It's a big time right now at Campbell. There's a lot of changes. They're changing the realigned to change conferences, I believe, to go to
Right.
the Colonial. Take us through that process and how that also affected your decision. The commitments there.
Yeah, so during the interview process, they told me that other conferences had been seeking us to join them. They weren't really sure which conference we were going to go to, but at some point we were going to be changing conference. So they were pretty transparent with that. And then obviously it became public last week, I believe it was, that we were going to the Colonial. So to expand, I guess, the footprint from an academic standpoint and athletic standpoint was something that our president discussed. Was the reasons why we were moving to the Colonial from the Big South.
The other aspect that you're going to have here that you didn't have in your previous head coaching spots, is because of is exposure as far as broadcasting. Your games or home games are going to be exclusively on ESPN Plus.
That's right.
That is huge, I think, for a program like Campbell.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, marketing, the publicity, recruiting, getting ourselves out there. Definitely that was a huge component too. Another tool in the toolbox to continue to build a championship program for sure.
Let's talk about your staff. You mentioned your staff hires. Let's start with Aaron. What was it about Aaron that you felt that's the right person for you to be here to handle your pitching staff?
Well, I believe in surrounding yourself with people who know more than what you know as well. And I like to recruit kids who've won championships. And it's the same as coaching. Like, she's been a champion. She's been to the Big Dad. She's been to Oklahoma City as a player. She was a part of Patty Gassel's 2020 national championship team as well. So for her to bring that experience to our bullpen, to our circle on a day-to-day basis, she was my number one pick from day one.
And then you added Megan Hill. When I saw that, my first reaction was I feel old because I broadcasted her games when she was at Southern Miss. In fact, I called an infamous game against UCF where in a doubleheader, I think she had one at bat in a doubleheader and set an NCAA record for walks in 2 games,
Right.
intentional walks. I was there. I could confirm that happened.
Right.
What was it about her that you saw as your vision there as far as adding to her staff?
Right. Yeah. Megan kind of came through in the 9th hour of the process. We were kind of going after someone else. And then when her resume came across from her AD and we kind of talked about it, we're like, oh, okay, I got to take a second look here. Now, with her being at Radford and being a part of the Big South and kind of knowing the rivalries and that history, I was like, okay. And then when we interviewed her and I've also known of Megan through mutual friends and we've worked camps together before. So we kind of had a little bit of a surface relationship, if you will. But then when we interviewed her, Coach Arvalo and I were both like, this is it. She's the one. Like, she's the fit that we need. Just her energy, her knowledge, her drive for the game. Like, talking to her, I felt like I was talking to my younger self, and motivated, and her work ethic and drive and passion and her knowledge, and from her coming from being under Tripp down at Kennesaw State too, the knowledge that she gained being with him. I'm just excited to again surround yourself with people who know more than you in certain areas. So I just think as a staff, we're all going to grow and blossom together.
How do you envision the staff working? Because I know obviously in the past you would run the offense and things like that. Will you continue to see the offense? Will you just kind of delegate? Give me your vision of how your philosophy on the staff or how it's all
going. We all going to have our lanes and then we're going to interchange, right? So Megan, I've given her the offense and I said, your offensive coordinator, let's go. How can I help? We're going to collaborate. Obviously, as a head coach, I'm going to make the final decisions on things, but I want her to grow, and it'll be the first time like the offense has been hers. We discuss things, and I'll be interested to see her put it to action with our girls. I like kind of some of the out of the box thinking that she has, but I think the way that we prepare our hitters is going to be something new for them, and I think they're going to like it. We're going to make them smarter. Our goal is to, lead the conference in home runs and doubles. Like we want to be that power hitting team, and then we got some speedsters that we're going to steal some bases. So for her, she's running the show, and I'm here to help her run it. Coach Arvalo is obviously doing pitching, and then I'm moving over to defense. And we got 2 graduate assistant coaches as well that will help support all of us. Coach Arvalo is due to have her baby boy in 12 days.
Oh,
So
okay.
once she has her little blessing, I'm gonna move over and take over pitching while she's out. And then it's just gonna be like all hands on deck. We've talked about, though we have our own responsibilities, like when she sees something about hitting, she's gonna help our hitters out. When I see something with pitching, I'm gonna say something. Megan's gonna try to, tell her, hey, we're picking this on your pitchers. We see this. Defensively, Megan has worked with the outfield. She'll be able to help if I'm out with my baby sick. So the good thing is we're all able to do a little bit of everything, though we have our main responsibilities. So I think it's going to be fun.
Do you feel also, obviously you brought in a staff to help you win. That's the goal. But
Yep.
also, is a part of you want to serve as a mentor to them? Because when we've had you on in the past, we've talked openly about minorities, for example, and the lack
Right.
of opportunities and trying to improve that in the sport of softball. Do you feel there's part of that is of your responsibilities? Like, hey, I was one that got opportunities. I want to help give back and help mentor people that may, to get opportunities that I've maybe gotten or they want to get.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And I told both of them once we finally solidified our staff, I was like, both of you are head coaches in the making, whether you know it or you don't know it. I can hear it. I can see it. And I'm here to help you, get to that level. I hope I can retain you as long as possible. I want you to stay with me, but I'm like, you're both good. And I know people are going to come after you, but while we're together, let's win and kick butt. Like, that's what I've told them.
Having gone through this process and having opportunities, you say you've gotten calls before about being a head coach. Do you feel we're in a better place today than they were when you started coaching, as far as for minorities are concerned?
100%. If you look at this year, I think it was the year of the Black female getting an opportunity to lead teams. There was more minorities hired this year as head coaches than I think probably ever, right? Even like Steph Van Brinkel leaving Memphis. That was a big kind of splash. A lot of people didn't see that coming. So yeah, definitely. There's more opportunities. I think as more players are playing and getting the opportunities, obviously we're going to transition and develop into coaches. And it's great to see the diversity in the game from the coaching standpoint and the player standpoint. And not just at historically Black universities, at the PWIs as well. To be able to lead programs, I think is a blessing and an honor to continue to see administrations opening up and understanding the significance of having some diversity, for sure.
Obviously, you inherit a roster. You're still learning, who they are, and they're learning who you are, and things in that process. I'm curious, as you go into this, what is your philosophy? Or because obviously, like I said, you're friends with Sharon, so you could pick her brain about some of the players. Are you the type that will watch tape of them and ask about them, or do you just kind of say, "All right, we got a clean slate here"? How do you handle that?
Yeah, the cool thing with Shell is like we just kind of talked about more of the job from her perspective. It was more, she said, if you want to know something, ask. Because I'm like, I want to see things for myself and come up with my own opinion and then be able to reference back if I need to. So I'm coming in pretty much eyes wide open with, obviously I have the stats. That's really what I'm going off of statistically, where were we and all of that. But from a player standpoint, like I don't really, we didn't really talk about that yet. So I'm excited to see them for myself and then be able to ask questions if I need to. But I'm more of a, regardless of what happened prior, I feel like everybody's going to respond differently to different people as well. So I'm just excited about what they're going to do with our staff.
How's the interactions been with the players so far? As you introduced yourself to them, and then obviously now as
Yeah.
you get to the practice and things like that.
They've been good. Like they're hungry. Like they're so self-motivated. Like I can tell it's a championship program. Like today will be our first day of practice. They started school last week, and every day they were out there at the field. Like probably every player, I could see them coming through the locker room, getting their stuff because our offices are right here, and then they go out. Like every single day, I think every player was out there and they were hungry. And then this morning we had our first conditioning, and they were there, and they killed it. It was new. We're gonna push them, but they bought in. Nobody quit. Nobody gave up. And that's all I can ask for is 100% effort 100% of the time. And I think they're bought in and ready to chase that three-peat.
We're speaking with Trena Prater, head coach at Campbell, here on In the Circle. I'm curious, obviously, we've talked a lot about Toronto giving you some advice and talking to you about Campbell. I'm curious, have you talked to her and advised her about the Big Ten since you just came from there? It's kind of funny how you two kind of, your careers
Yeah,
are moving, switching back and forth there.
we did the player swap, the conference swap. Yeah, no, like she knows it. She was at Ohio State before, so she's familiar with the Big Ten as well. And I just told her, like, you have talent, like you have resources, you have the stadium. She knows how to win. She's comes from a great coaching pedigree herself and her own track record. So it's pretty much if she gets pitching, which she did, they got some transfers in, she's gonna do good. And then look at her coaching staff who she has with her. I'm excited to see what they do. I definitely think she'll be able to have an impact on that program right away.
When did you two first meet?
We played professionally together in Philadelphia, so we were actually roommates for 3 years on the Philadelphia Four. So way back in maybe 2007, maybe.
So I'm curious, you played together. Did you ever talk back then, both of you, about getting into coaching? Did you know that she would go on to be a coach? I'm fascinated when a team players play together, if that ever comes up, or it's just like, oh, hey, I didn't know, what was that like looking back now?
Yeah, I think I was already coaching at that time back then. I think I might have been at University of Maryland at the time. When I was there, I'm not sure where she was. I think she might have just graduated and came in. But yeah, no, I don't think we really ever talked about it or talked about coaching together or anything like that. It's like pro ball. We were just having a good time and playing.
Well, she can now say that she is the longest tenured head coach in the Big Ten in the state of Michigan, uh, which, which is a wild stat. You need to tease her about that next time you have her on. I'm going to tease her if I get her on the show later in the fall here.
Okay.
But what I have to ask you, what was your reaction to the news when Carol Hutchens decided to retire on a
Yeah.
random Wednesday out of the blue on a press release? Old school. I feel like that was very pro Hutch, such a Hutch move. Nobody saw
Yeah,
it coming.
no.
What was your reaction to
Yeah.
that?
No, I was surprised. I was very, very surprised. But then once they named Bonnie, I was like, okay, they did it right, right? She's gonna hand it off. And Michigan's Michigan. They've been the powerhouse in the Big Ten forever, but definitely surprised. But Hutch ain't going away. She's gonna still keep her footprint right there in it and continue to help our sport grow. And it's the same as with Jackie Joseph stepping down at Michigan State, like two Hall of Famers, legendary women who, even though they're not on the field, I know that they're going to continue to fight for our sport and fight for gender equality. So those are the things I look forward to seeing how Hutch continues to impact our game, impact our sport.
The great thing about softball is obviously coaches always bond, associate head coaches bond with associate head coaches. A lot of times you'll talk when you mention.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how tell us a little bit about Bonnie and how she'll do, because obviously all the attention is on Hutch retiring, but she's taken over the program. She's been there a long time. How
Yeah.
do you feel she'll do? What does she bring to the table?
Oh, I don't think they're going to skip a beat. She's been there. She knows what Michigan softball is about. She's a phenomenal leader. A lot of times, like you said, associate head coaches, you're right there with your head coach there. You're just in the first base box instead of the third base box. And the kids respect you. The amount of history in that program and what they stand for and who they are. Nothing is going to change. I don't think from a winning standpoint, from a culture standpoint, they're just going to continue to do what they do. And then, obviously fill the void with her spot there with somebody. But, such a great woman, such a great leader. She was welcomed me with open arms when I seen her out recruiting and talking with her, and played with my little boy when we are out on the recruiting trail. So just a phenomenal leader, and no one more deserving than Bonnie to get that job.
Obviously, your time at Iowa, I'll always think back 2020. COVID hits. You had a great non-conference season at that point. I remember that. In fact, you were the last people I saw before the world literally shut down a week later, up in Florida when you were at the tournament. You were playing really well. Had some great non-conference wins, and always be at that. I feel like that'll be a what if for you. And then 2021, you finished fourth in the Big Ten, best finish that Iowa's had there nearly in a decade.
Yeah.
Not playing a non-conference schedule probably cost you a bid to the NCAA, where in a normal year you get in. When you think of all that, is it a what if, or still? I think there were a lot of positives there around your time there.
Yeah, definitely. I think what we started to do, and then obviously coming off of a down year this year, but that group is hungry. It's a great group of girls, and that they made it really, really hard for me to take this job. Because of the relationships with them that I built, and how much kind of blood, sweat, and tears you poured into them when you were so close, and to see the heartbreak, and so wanting to stay and be there for them. But I think, Renee's going to get it right with her other coaches to come in and kind of get them back to where we were, and to continue to be at the top of the Big Ten. And I know that they're going to do a good job. They got a deep roster this year. I think they got like 9 pitchers on the roster, so you can't win without pitching. And I know she's hiring a pitching coach, so whoever she's bringing in to kind of fill the void of what Rick did before, I think it's going to be good. She got a head coach coming in to be her assistant. Coach from Southern Mississippi. So she's going to get some experience in to get her back to the top. So I'm excited to see what they do. I'm rooting for them to be successful in the top of the Big Ten this year.
What's a key thing you learned through the Iowa years, and even the UCF year, if you want to add that you'll implement as a head coach that you didn't know prior to doing that? You mentioned earlier about the learning different things from being the passenger in a little bit. What's one or two things that you're like, if I would have known this before, maybe things are a little different, or no, I'm going to make sure I do this time, here is the head coach.
No, definitely. I would think entitling and allowing your assistants to be them in authentic selves. And even if you may agree to disagree, maybe stepping back and allowing them to kind of grow, and allowing them to do what they want. So that's what I'm doing with Megan, like allowing her. She wants me maybe to tell her what to do, and I'm like, it's yours, right? I'm going to watch through the fall, these first couple of weeks, to kind of see it and give her the confidence that you could do this. This is yours. You're a head coach in training. Like, let's run it. I'm going to be right here by your side, and I'm going to help you navigate. I'm going to let you know what I want and what I don't want, but make it your own. And same with Erin with the pitchers. I'm going to push her to make those hard decisions with pitching changes. I told her I think that's the hardest decision in coaching, when to pull a pitcher and when to put them in, and kind of read those things. And I want her to grow and to learn that through the fall. And then once we get in the spring, it's going to be easy. We're going to be able to collaborate and make all the right decisions, but I've really empowered them to have a voice in all decision making that we're doing. And I think that allows us to be a very, very strong staff. I've been very transparent with everything and letting them have feedback early. So now that they're comfortable, when we get into the thick of things and when things get tough, we already have that relationship, and we're able to all kind of move on one accord.
I'm curious too. You're all former players. How does that help too? The fact that you've all been there as players, and y'all can kind of relate to that as far as the coaching staff. And I'm sure that's something you highlight with the players and relating to them.
Yeah, for sure. So they know that we've been there and we've done that, and we've done it at a very high level, and we've been successful. So it's not that we've just played. Like, we've been great everywhere that we've been. So I think that gives your coaching some validity as well. So that's why I think they've been like eyes wide open, ears wide open, and ready to go already.
Couple last things before we let you go. Obviously, your big highlight of your year at UCF was getting to meet me, so that was big moment
Of
there.
course, of
Absolutely
course.
right. Obviously, it wasn't anything like coaching Aaliyah White or anything like that.
Yes,
But
phenomenal.
but I am curious, what was your reaction as you saw UCF host a regional for the first time in program history, make it to the Supers for the first time? Because
Yes,
you knew the history when you got there about getting over the hump and always being sent
yes,
to Florida State. And then, of course, Aaliyah being a part of the staff as a grad coach, and now she's an assistant at North Georgia,
yes.
going full-time as an assistant.
Yeah, no, that was great, right? You always want to see where you've been continue to grow after you go. And Cindy Ball Malone is a phenomenal coach, so it's not a surprise that she was able to do it. I think she's that next up and coming. Well, she's already there. She's it, right? She's made a footprint on that program in 4 years, which Renee built it for 18, and she was able to turn it around in 4. So that's just kudos to her and her coaching staff and what she's been able to do there. But no, that was great. And to do it at a mid major and to be able to do that says, hey, why not us?
Yeah, why not us there? All right, last question as you get set for the fall. You're going to play fall ball games, practice, get to know what's going to be some of the keys between now and February to accomplish, to be ready to go for the three-peat, as you mentioned, the conference championship, and continue this success.
Yeah, we're just one day at a time, right? We're on the clock right now. This is our last year in the Big South, so obviously you want to leave with a bang as well. So it's just us getting to know each other as a staff, trusting each other as a team, and day by day getting in shape, getting stronger, getting more explosive. All the little things is pretty much our biggest focus. We're doing everything with a purpose. We're playing with passion, and we have to have perseverance to overcome everything that is going to face us this year. I've already told them nothing about this year is going to be easy, but at the end, it's going to be worth it. And that's why we're going to work so hard between now and May.
Well, Coach, I look forward to seeing your team on the field before we know it, and I'm just excited for you to be back as a head coaching position, because I remember we talked all the way back when we first talked to UCF there that that would be something you want to do eventually, and
Yeah.
I think you got a great opportunity here, and I'm excited for you. So I'll be now following box
Yes.
scores every day. But thanks for
Yeah.
doing this.
Absolutely.
I know you're busy time. Always enjoy having you on the show. We'll try to get you back on during the season, but in the
Okay.
meantime, good luck, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Elo. Roll humps.